Why isn't the Astros story going away?
Because I think the players are keeping it going and adding extra fuel. I'm sure you've mentioned this before. At the height or depth of the steroid era, lots of players would privately express their concern, and eventually they pushed the Players Association to recognize that many of their own members were victims rather than participants in PED use. But they never said anything publicly. This was before players had Twitter accounts and Instagram and everything else, and that adds fuel to the fire too. But I think what's really keeping it going is how outspoken and adamant the players themselves have been, because we in the press and baseball officials had their say within the last few weeks. But now it's the players, once spring training has arrived and they're being asked questions or going on their social media accounts, it's the players now that are really keeping it going.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how this ends. You know, everybody wants something out of this, and I don't know what that something is. And I said, if you want to take away the trophy and vacate it, okay, fine. If I can't punish the players, then I don't want people picking up a baseball and throwing it 95 miles an hour at them and extracting some, kind of revenge. But what would be your solution where you think that you could placate the players and the fans affected by this?
Yeah, I said this the day the story broke after the Athletic had Mike Fiers' information, and then eventually the commissioner came down with his penalties, and Jim Crane fired Hinch and Lunau, that my suspicion was, and it turned out to be correct, that they had to grant immunity to the players, both because of existing understandings in the basic agreement and because they would have gotten huge pushback from the Players Association in any case. So that was a road they didn't want to go down. But I speculated at that time that they could very well wind up in the same place they wound up with steroids and PEDs, which was that eventually they recognized that there was mutual interest here. The Players Association would have to agree, and they're hearing it from their members now when it comes to the Astros, they'd have to agree that the majority of players are victims when other players cheat. And so in the next basic agreement, I think they're going to have to codify penalties, just like they eventually did with steroids. They're going to have to codify penalties. This is what happens to players if and when they're caught doing this kind of stuff. But if I can, Dan, I'm going to go against the tide a little bit when a lot of people have said, fans and some people in the press, this is no deterrent. Manfred's initial ruling, this is no deterrent because the players themselves weren't punished. But I don't think that makes that much sense because they said beforehand in the memo in September of 2017 and in their penalties, Hinch fired,
Lunau
suspended, then fired, then Lunau, then Cora, then eventually Beltran, although that wasn't a commissioner's decision, but the Mets decided. What's clear is this. There's no way that players, even if they want to do it again, if some player somewhere wants to do it again, there's no way that coaches and managers wouldn't know about it. Hinch knew about it, all right? No manager is going to say, you know what? Let me weigh the risk-reward. It's worth it to destroy or at least significantly derail my entire career and look the other way while these players are cheating. So I think actually, if you think about the practical effect, this is a deterrent. No coach or manager or general manager, if he knows about it, is going to let this go on and run the risk to his career.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.